Okay, assalamu alaikum. We're gonna make a video with a difference today. I'm in my kitchen. I'm just gonna do a little bit of cooking and give you a little bit of perhaps tips or just guidelines on cookery ideas. And now I'm not gonna do in-depth videos on cooking because I think the internet is absolutely bombarded with so many different cooks. So I'm sure you'll be able to find all recipes. Where I feel that a recipe can be enhanced or made easier, that's the thing that I will highlight for you. So one of the problems we often have these days is finding time and to do cooking. So a lot of us women, we tend to try and skip that because we're lacking time. So I like to do things, I love cooking, and I like to do things so that I'm more in charge, and with my limited time I can still fit in my cooking along with those times. Also, there is another problem which if you've got a big family, then you tend to have bigger cooking, obviously big cooking responsibility, but what you cook is it cooks a lot better, especially dishes like meat dishes, where you're cooking a meat dish, and if there's just the one or two of you, cooking for yourself can be a big hassle. And especially cooking such small quantity of a curry, the flavor isn't there, and so how do we overcome that? And now, obviously, with living with the family, a big family, which is what I had, I didn't have that problem. And now it's me and mum, are very small eaters, and I'm a very fussy eater. I like my food quite really dry and spicy because I eat very little curry, whereas on the other hand I have to consider mum because she has a curry which is, she has to have it more watery because of dietary reasons and so on. So what am I cooking, how am I cooking it, how am I combining the two are the kind of problems that tend to affect me now. So those are the problems that I'm going to try and, one, to make it as healthy as possible, and two, to make it as I don't know, to overcome the two problems, the two different tastes. How do we go around pleasing both the people and looking after their needs? So that's the thing that I'm going to be trying to look at addressing. So what you're seeing here is a big pot. Oh, honestly, these kids. Okay, so let's get back to the point. Now, one of the problems, like I just mentioned, having your family close by is constant knocking on the door. So we got a bit of an interruption. Now, what I'm going to show you is how do we tackle small amounts of cooking for different people and to please everyone, or to cater for all their needs. So what I'm going to do is I've just basically got a lot of meat which I want. Today I'm going to be cooking rice. So generally when you're cooking rice, it's normally really nice when it's cooked in a large quantity. Now we're not going to cook it in large quantity because, well, today I'm going to cook it in large quantity, but the idea that I'm going to give you is actually preparing it so that you can cook it in small quantities, even the rice, like pilau rice. So what we have is about 2 kilos of meat. I've got about 4 medium-sized onions here, about 4 or 5 tomatoes, and a bit of garlic and ginger and some green chilies. And what I've done is basically washed the meat, the 2 kilos of meat. This is actually kurbani meat that we actually from the slaughter. I had frozen, so I took it out and I've just defrosted it, I washed it, and then put all the onions and the rest of the things that I've just mentioned into the pot with and the water that the meat has released and the tomatoes that is released is cooking in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cook in this, and there's nothing else added to this. Now if I was to cook small amounts of meat, then small amounts of rice, then what I would do is I would pot this into 4 different containers, and the 4 containers, then you're talking about half a kilo of basically half a kilo of meat. I will put that in 4 containers, and each container I will cook separately. So on the one instance, I will take out the 1 container and fry the onions, and once the meat is softened and tenderized, you can put small amount of the juice from this and the meat, and you can just freeze it and just forget about it, and then the meat is already prepared, and next time you want to cook the rice, you just take the meat out, fry the onions, and inshallah that I will show you later on when we decide to actually bulk do the meat, and then to put it to a side, and how you'd go about making the full. I mean, this is generally what I would advise people like students. So for instance, my daughter, she's a student, she's away, she finds it difficult, she wouldn't, small amounts of meat, she'd find it difficult to cook. So what I would suggest to her is take a 2 kilo of meat portion, do this with it, put the onions, put the mixture, let it simmer, and let the meat tenderize. And once the meat is tender, then separate it into as many dishes. I mean, even if you were a very small eater, light eater, and you wanted it fresh on each separate occasion, then what you would do is you can even divide it between 8 containers, and then if you wanted to cook different curries, you can cook multiple different types, different flavored curries from that meat, and it will take you considerably less time. It will save you huge in your time and also in expense as well, and that is a valuable tip for all working mums, and also for all the sons and daughters who are studying far from home and who have very limited time, who have very limited resources to actually, you know, go out and buy. I mean, there's nothing like home cooked meals, and this has actually nothing else extra. I mean, like there's a small amount of fat in this, and that's actually from the meat itself. You don't even need to add a lot of, you know, fat and stuff to it, like we're eating so much of stuff that is not good for us at all. So in a way, this is going to be healthy, it's going to be nutritious, it's going to taste absolutely brilliant, and it's going to save you the time and the money along with it. So today we're going to be making a pilau rice with this. I'm going to be using the whole of this because I'm going to be cooking for the whole family. This is about 2 kilos of meat, which at the moment I'm just going to let it simmer and let it tenderize. So if you want to follow the method to do this, then like I mentioned is I mean, I just cut everything up and just threw it in the pot, but basically it's 2 kilos of meat, 4 medium-sized onions, a full clove, you know, like 8 cloves of garlic, about 8 green chilies, and a small piece of ginger, and about 5-6 tomatoes, and I basically chopped everything up, threw it in the pan, put the lid on it, and just let it cook. So it's still got to tenderize yet. I'm going to leave it for another maybe an hour on very slow heat. Let this you know, cook in its own juices, and once that's done, then we're going to go about making the mixture for the pilau itself. Assalamualaikum. Okay, so we've got 2 chefs here. Mine is an apron, a machinist apron that was sent to me as a gift from one of my online viewers. And Inaya is our celebrity chef. So all good cooks need their assistance. Today we are going to be
I have a hat, but I lost it at my own house.
Yeah.
Probably was on top of the wardrobe somewhere.
Yeah, she has got a cook's hat as well. So anyway, so you're going to watch us make some, what we're going to be making? We're going to be making some pilau rice.
Pakistani rice.
Some Pakistani rice, some pilau rice. Okay, so we're going to take this advantage of using our new kitchen to show you how to make some rice.
She's got a
okay,
small apron, I've got a big apron.
yeah, I've got a small apron. So what we have is on the stove, we have our cooking pot of meat.
Make sure you do not touch it. That's one of the rules.
One of the rules is that you don't touch it because it's too hot.
And don't go that near it because it very hot if you
Yeah,
leave it
all
for
the
a long
steam
time.
is quite hot, so it can end up burning you. Okay, so at the moment what we have is the meat, which I mentioned earlier. We've got the pot of meat, which has actually almost cooked. We're just gonna let it simmer a little bit more, maybe for 10-15 minutes to get it really nice and soft.
Yeah.
Now with rice, this kind of brown rice, which is what we're going to make, we want the meat to be as nice and soft and tender as possible. The other good thing about this kind of pilau rice is if you use meat which has a little bit of fat on it, then the rice will have far more flavor, and the rice will be
And
more,
it'll be more sweeter.
no, not sweeter, it'll be more tender. You know, the meat will be more tender, and the
it'll be
rice
more
will
taste.
also have a lot of taste. Yes. So what we're going to do whilst we're waiting for the meat to get done, we're going to take these 4 small onions. We're going to peel them, and we're going to slice them nice and thin. Well, they're going to make you cry. Eh?
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to cry?
No.
I think it's going to make you cry. Is onion cutting makes you cry. Okay, so shall we just
Turn the camera around.
turn the camera around?
And we have got a new stand thing, like a long thing that you can put it on underneath. You don't have to hold it. Oopsie, this is so much better. You can see your face right there, my grandma.
Don't want grandma doesn't want to show her face. We're happy.
And it was my grandma's birthday on Saturday.
Thank you for telling the world. Now you don't need to say how old I am. That's supposed to be private, silly. Okay, so we're gonna chop all of these 4 onions because we've got a lot of rice and onions. I like onions in my food, so I'm gonna add all these onions to it. It's gonna be quite a large bag of rice. The rice that I'm not really particular on what rice we use. This is basmati rice, and it's by a company called Lubna. It's just a random bag of rice that I've picked up. Mostly I tend to cook pearl a lot.
Usually
But
all
today-
of the people know what is this.
Okay, so today we're just going to use this rice. I'll show you what it's like for those of you who are unfamiliar with. It's called basmati rice, and that's what it's basically like. So Naya, please. So we're going to give this a wash and soak it.
Yeah, so you can get
How
more.
much are we
So
gonna
you can
use?
get clean.
We'll get a jug.
Jug. You got jug out.
Do you know where the jug is? It's in there somewhere.
No.
Is it not in there?
No, I saw one upstairs also.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It's here.
It's one upstairs.
We're going to use our jug now.
And
What
it
we're
has
going to
numbers on,
do...
and then you want cold rice. When the cold is hot.
Now, because we're a big family, we're going to be using maybe 3 jugs of rice.
A big scoop of rice. All the way up to the top.
We're going to cook 3 jugs of rice.
Yeah. That's one.
And we're going to cook 3 jugs of rice as our savory rice, and we're going to cook 1 jug of rice for our sweet rice. But that we're going to cook separately. So for the moment, what we're going to do is we're just going to wash this rice, and we're going to leave it soak in water. Make sure the water doesn't reach the top. In a nice big pot, you want some corn oil, and let that warm up. In this, we have about about half a pint, about half a liter of not half a liter, maybe about 400.
400 meters.
No meters. I'm trying to work out my markings. That's the jug that I used for it. So you could say about 3/4. A quarter is there. So 400, about that much of oil. And I've let the oil warm up. The onions are all peeled and cut into thin slices. So add the onions to the oil, and we're going to let the onions brown. Now these are nice thin sliced onions, so we're going to let them just really nicely brown up. And in another dish, what I've done is just put all my mixtures. I've got some cinnamon sticks, some cardamoms pods. These are the big cardamom, black cardamoms, cumin, and black pepper, whole black pepper, and then we've got what are these called? Oh God, I've forgotten the name. And some green chilies. And basically what I'm going to do is once the onions are browned, I'm going to add all this to this. But when the onions are ready, I'll show you at exactly the point where I'm going to be adding those in. So this is going to be on fairly high heat. See how quickly we can get these browned up. Who's talking?
Huh?
Okay, so the onions are sufficiently browned up. We're going to add, you don't talk. We're going to add to that all our mixture. There's salt in there as well, and also green chilies. And I've added a bit of dried onions to the mixture. So we're just going to let this just brown off. And this is where all the flavor is going to come in from. And then to this mixture, I'm also going to add some chopped up, just a couple of chopped up tomatoes, because I want this to let off the colour. So it's just 2 chopped up tomatoes. I'm just going to add that to that. And the water being added will make that noise, and it will also let off like a really strong aroma. Oh, that won't have any taste in it. This will have taste.
I'm going to wash it in my mouth.
Now the meat is, I'm just going to quickly show you the meat. So you get an idea of, shall I move the camera or shall I move the, right, we'll move the camera. Okay, we'll take the camera, I'll take the camera onto that pot where the meat is. Now see that meat, that, you can fry it a little bit more and you can pot it if you were not going to make rice. But we're going to be adding it to rice. So what I'm going to do is, I'm still going to leave a little bit of that water in it, but it's sufficiently soft enough to be added to this mixture. Camera focus. Okay. What I'm going to do is with a strainer type of thing, I'm going to take the meat out and add that to the mixture. Just the meat part. Now I'm going to leave the bottom of the sauce, and in that I'm going to add water. And you remember the jug that I used?
She's putting all the mixture in the big one.
I'm going to cook this in this. And where the sauce is, I'm just going to add that jug that I used. I'm going to measure it in the water up in that jug. And I'm going to boil some water.
That is done.
Mixture, I'm just going to fry it so that the meat actually goes brown, and also a lot of this is clung to the meat, so that all the flavor is absorbed by the meat. Now there's plenty of water in this, so I'm going to try and dry out the water content out of this. And in the other pan where the meat originally was, I've added approximately 4.5 jugs of water, and I'm actually just letting that come to a boil. And the rice is actually soaked in water too. I washed it and I've soaked it in water, so I'm going to be draining that off in a bit. So I'm just going to brown this out, turn the camera off for a bit, just give this a little bit time so that it's separated out, and then sort of give you the guideline on the following part. Okay, so welcome back. Okay, so this is our super dish. Okay, so this is our super dish of the meat, where it's cooking in its own juices. It's beautiful color, the smell, the aroma is just magnificent. You know, people often say to me that I don't like cooking. Women say I don't like cooking, and I don't understand how anybody can actually not like cooking, because I absolutely.
It's very fun.
It's very much fun, isn't it? Yeah. So I love cooking, and I hope Inaya grows up to love cooking too. And if I have my way, I will teach her to do cooking. So anyway, what we're going to do with this meat is we're going to scoop it out. Okay. I've taken one of the wire scoops, and I'm just going to scoop it out. Not all of it. I don't know how to one of those things with holes in it. Yeah, we're using one of them. Now you don't have to scoop it all out, but I'm gonna. I don't think my dish is big enough. I'm gonna scoop quite a bit. No, we've got enough. I'm gonna scoop quite a bit of it out because I want the meat to retain its flavor before I add water to this. Because once you add water to the mixture, the meat will lose its flavor with the water. So I'm scooped it out, and I'm gonna add the water stock that I boiled the water in, and that was the 4.5 jugs. So what I want you to bear in mind, normally it's cooked at double the stock.
It's very hot. Can you use a towel? That's like cheese.
Yeah, I'm using a towel just to. Okay, so.
Make sure you don't get your hands on this inside.
Turn the gas on that one. We wash the pan and we put. Okay, so we're just gonna let this come to a boil, and then we're gonna add our rice to this.
Yes, we are.
If you're wondering what I'm gonna do with the meat, just keep on watching.
So now we're just looking at this yummy food that's cooking.
Now this isn't biryani, so although I'm using a little bit of a similar technique to biryani, this isn't biryani. I'm going to be making brown rice. Yes, normal rice.
It's going to be brown rice, not the one of them spicy rice.
We're just letting that come to a boil.
Yeah. To make it a bit colder.
Okay, so we're at a point where... Okay, alright, just be quiet now. Okay, so we're at a point where we can add our rice to this mixture. The white rice, I've taken out as much water as I could. There probably will be still a slight bit of water in that. So that's why I've used...
You can put the water inside again and spill it out to get some more out. Or you can just use your hand
add the rice to the mixture. Now, prior to adding the rice, or even when you added the rice, make sure to taste a little bit of the, and it has to be stronger in salt because it does require a fair bit of salt. So just going to give this a little bit of a stir and let the rice come to the boil. Once it comes to the boil and it starts simmering, I'm going to add the meat, stir it, and then put the lid on and just a tight lid, and leave it on a very, very low heat just to let the rice cook in the water that's contained in there. And the point of that is not to be impatient and take the lid off and leave it for at least 20 to 30 minutes to cook in its own juices. And the more slow heat that you leave it on to cook in that, the more flavor the rice will have. So we've got the meat prepared, taken out separately. That's the full pot of meat that we're going to be adding back to the rice once it's started to simmer and some of the water has been absorbed by the rice. because all the flavor is actually in the meat itself, and I want the meat to retain as much flavor, because although it's still going to remain in the pot, it's the meat, when you taste it, it should have a strong flavor of all the spices. So that's basically what we're trying to do. So my camera's battery is low. What I'm going to do is, I've given you the instructions. Let that come to a boil. Once the rice has started to expand and is only a small amount of water left, add the meat, just give it a slight bit of a stir, put the lid on with a tea cloth underneath the lid, and put the lid on tightly so that so that's the lid that we're going to be using. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to get a tea towel, put it on this side, sit it tightly, and then perhaps lay something on top of it just to make sure that all the steam remains inside. So our pot of rice is on its way to cooking. There is slight bits of steam. The most airtight container you can get, the better it is, because we want to try and lock the steam in there and to let the rice just, proper cook in that steam. Now what we're going to do is, we've got sweet rice cooking on the other pot. And the sweet rice, make sure to put plenty of water to boil that. I've got 1 jug of water, and I've let the water boil, added the rice to that, left the rice soaking prior to that, and at the moment the rice is just boiling. I want it to expand to, this is the normal same basmati rice. There is a special rice that you can get that expands to even longer length, but I find that a little bit tasteless. I prefer the basmati rice even for cooking as this. So I'm just going to let that. Yeah, I'm going to use some orange peel. So that's just boiling. Once it's soft enough, tender enough to the touch, what I'm going to do is drain the water out and prepare the sweet mixture for the rice to be added to. So I'll give you the ingredients of that in a minute. I'm just going to turn the gas down. Turn the gas down and see if that's almost done. Try avoid stirring it too much, or try to break the rice, because it'll become sticky if it ends up breaking. Whilst the other pot, we're going to avoid being tempted to look into that. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to lift that and put like a pan underneath it, so that the heat can be slightly mellowed down, because sometimes what happens is these pans are not very thick based, and if the pan isn't very thick based, the rice will start sticking to the bottom of the pan, which I don't want it to do. So that's our meat pilau rice ready cooked. I'm just going to get ready to serve it out. So just give it a good shake. And then I'm just going to quickly share the other one with you too, which is our sweet rice. So I'm about to take the lid off that, and let's see what's happened to that. That's basically all the colours of the sweet rice. Just get now. Actually, this has just still got a little bit of a moisture, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the lid back on this one and just leave it for a few minutes just to dry out just a little bit more. Okay, so this is the final result of our sweet and hot rice. And the verdict's going to come from Inaya. Oh man, she's poor thing has ended up getting a cough. Naya, are you going to give the verdict? What does it taste like?
Good.
Good. Okay, so that's the verdict. Is good. I've distributed it. Sort of, you got the bottom layer left because I've sent it to my son's houses and to the neighborhood, to the neighborhood too. So always be generous. Allah Ta'ala puts barakat in your food when you're generous with your food. Make the intention that I'm going to be generous, and inshallah Allah Ta'ala will put barakat in it. It's good to share. So remember that one. Now when you do share, you do get things in exchange for it. Now come on. And what we've got in exchange is one of our houses has missed roast chicken, so we have actually got that in exchange for it, and some beautiful salad to go with it as well. So that is our it was hot, wasn't it? That's why. Okay, we're done now.
That's it now. Thank you.
That's it.
No.